Okay, so this is a lesson adding on to my lesson on making an ostinato in Studio One and getting your metronome right and your timing right, and then how that works with adding then loops to our compositions. I'm now going to talk about melody. A lot of people start writing with their melody first and then go from there. Just for the purpose of this lesson, I decided we'd do an ostinato first. So do a little repetitious section and loops just to show you how to get that all in time, and we're going to do the melody after. So my top track here is my ostinato. You can see that little repeated strings section. I'll just let you listen to that. So I've got that, and then just from Studio One loops, I've pulled in a classic rock beat here, and I'll show you how that sounds. Now I'm not entirely sure how long my melody is going to go for. I'm going to pop it in here. I've sort of got a bit of an idea in my head, but not entirely. I can probably turn this loop off now. So I'm going to let the ostinato run for a bar or so, and then I'm going to come in with a melody. And I've picked out the oboe. So the Studio One oboe sound is actually really nice. I don't mind that, so I'm going to use that one. We'll just get our bar at the start there. I've got my metronome set up to give 2 bars of counting. So here we go. I think I want a melody over this drum kit as well, so I might just try that. I can record over this, and it'll leave the original material. And I've got a bit of a melody for my song. So I've got 2 tracks now that I've recorded using a MIDI keyboard, and the one in the middle that I'm using for a loop. And I suppose the question is, what next from here? I've got an oboe track. I can actually double up that oboe track and have other orchestral instruments to make a more full sounding orchestral piece. So I'll just show you how to do that. If I right click here, there's the option to duplicate track complete, which gives me not just the track, but the audio from that. So that's an exact copy. And what I can do with that now is potentially change the instrument. So what might sound or blend nice with an oboe, I could pick something else from the winds. A bassoon, contrabassoon or bassoon is like a low sounding woodwind instrument. Let's pop that in there. I'll load him up. Here it is. Yours will come up with this screen. I've got 2 screens. It's coming up on my other screen. But I just close that. You don't need to worry about that at all. So that's called oboe, but it should be a bassoon sound now. Let's check that. Yeah, there we go. And the 2 together. So that's the bassoon and the oboe being played together. The only problem with that is they're playing the same notes, so I'm not getting that sort of breadth and depth that I really want. So I can do a thing called transpose. The thing you need to know with transpose, which just means to push an instrument up or down, is that you do it by 12s. And the reason for that is, if this oboe is playing a C there, if I go to the start, so sorry, I should add, if you double click on these, it brings up the little editor. if I go to the start of the track and I click on it, there's my note there, and it happens to be a D. So what transposing does is it puts the whole thing an octave down. So instead of that D, it'll be this low D. And then I might get a bit more depth. So if I take this bassoon track, and what I need to do is transpose it down by 12. And 12 is a full octave. Okay, so I've doubled up my track, I've transposed the bassoon down by 12, and now I'll hear a more blended sound between them. And I might even add some reverb to those just to make them sound a little bit nicer. So in inserts, remember where to go. Presonus, mixed verb is the free one. That'll bring up this dialog box. Again, I've got that other screen, so it pops up down there. And I just want to hear that. Yeah, it's much nicer. Bigger room. So that's sounding quite nice now. Another thing I could do is double up the strings, or have some more strings, because I've got this sort of high strings here. Well, you can hear a lot of reverb up, probably too much there, but anyway. I reckon it needs like a low string. Boom, boom, boom. Or maybe pizzicato is where they pluck the strings on violin, bass, cello. They pluck them. Maybe something like that might sound pretty good. I'm getting off track from melody here, but I just thought that'd be good. I'm just going to record that in because I think that's going to sound really nice. So what I'm doing here is just a really low boom, boom, just with just low down on the keyboard, which is giving me like a double bass sort of sound, because this is sort of viola cello sound, and that just gives me some depth. So let's try that. Quite happy with that. I'm going to double him up. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. Let's hear our whole thing now. and I'm quite happy with that. So there's my lesson on adding a melody, and then I've also added that melody twice and then transposed one an octave down to just give it a bit of depth. And then the pizzicato strings that I did at the end had nothing to do with a melody, it just added a little bit more to the harmony. So I hope you got something out of that lesson.